A small town has prevented gun shops from opening within their borders for almost a decade thanks to the Anti-Gun City Council. A man hoping to open up a gun and pawn shop has been fighting the zoning board and city council to open up shop in town, and now a judge has ruled against him. The twist is that this is all happening in Arkansas. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I have covered towns before that got into zoning battles to keep out gun shops or gun ranges, but the biggest of those was in California, in exactly the kind of place you would expect. And now when I first heard about this story, I did not think that I was going to be reading about Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Keeling Grubb has been trying to get the permits to open up his gun and pawn shop in town for over a year. His shop would be the first to sell guns within town limits in almost a decade, and it seems the zoning board and city council want to keep that from happening. Actually, we're pretty sure at this point that that is, in fact, what they're doing. The first clue as to why this is happening might be in the opening line from a local paper about the dispute. That Eureka Springs is a tolerant town, demonstrated by being the first town in Arkansas to allow same-sex marriage. This has nothing to do with gun rights, but is apparently the basis of the paper's argument as to why the town is denying Mr. Grubb's business. Grubb already owns a gift shop in town that he has operated with his wife for 6 years. He opened up Eureka Gun and Pawn next door, where he has been selling ammo and camping gear under a sporting goods permit while waiting for his conditional use permit. Until that permit is granted, he can't sell guns, and he also can't take in things to pawn. And now I know that first instinct here for some folks is going to be to say, well, then he shouldn't have opened his business. But let me tell you, as someone who opened a business in 2 different locations back when I lived in Massachusetts, it did seem pretty counterintuitive to me that the towns required me to already have a lease, insurance, and a business set up before they would let me apply for the permit to actually have the business. I've never opened a business anywhere else, so I can't speak to the process any other place, but it definitely seemed like the setup for this exact kind of situation to go down. Either way, Eureka Pawn and Gun has been open since May 2023. Eureka Springs is apparently a tourist town that has a lot of lodging, and the permit application that the town gave to Grubb in order to sell guns was designed for hotels and bed and breakfasts. But he filled it out anyway. Still, Grubb didn't think it would be a problem, as the state's preemption law basically forbids localities from banning gun shops. But in practice, that's not what happened. But before I get to the rest of the story and how it all played out, here is a word about today's sponsor. We will all have to retire someday. The dollar is not what it used to be, and you cannot rely on things like Social Security, which is already running on a deficit and will be dead by the time I'm old enough to collect it. So my family focuses on investments and diversifying those investments, including precious metals, so that I don't have to rely on selling ammo for groceries when I'm 80. Because precious metals always hold value, and as the dollar falls, metals go up. That is why I have partnered with American Hartford Gold for this video. American Hartford Gold has amazing customer service, a buyback commitment, an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your wealth with physical gold and silver. They have all kinds of options, from gold, silver, and platinum, to coins and bars, to even investing it in an IRA if that's more your jam. And unlike dollars in a bank account, it can't get wiped out by the banks, and no one but you knows exactly how much you have. So click the link in the description, text DOLL, that's DOLL, to 65532, or call the number on your screen and tell them I sent you, and they'll give you up to $15,000 of free silver on your first order so that you can start saving today. Apparently, during a meeting on the matter, 3 letters were sent to the Planning Commission, 1 for the shop and 2 against. The 2 against said that the shop would bring crime and poor people to the area, while the letter for the shop came from another business owner in the plaza saying that he thought the business would bring more customers to the area and better customers, as Mr. Grubb is apparently planning to sell highly collectible firearms. Despite gun shops being perfectly legal under the town's code, Grubb hit a deadlock with the zoning board, where the planning commission sat on a 3-3 stalemate on his application. So he turned to the city council. He hired a lawyer and got a meeting. There, he was rejected in a 4-2 vote. The mayor says it is because guns are a very emotional issue for the town residents. The emotional issue amounts to comments on the town Facebook group saying that having a gun shop in town would be absolutely unacceptable, and that having a pawn shop would only be one step away from having hotels that rent rooms by the hour. One resident stood up and told the council that he moved to Eureka Springs from Texas because Texas had too many guns and he didn't want to carry a gun to feel safe from guns. Another said that she didn't want to lose the miracle of bird singing in the morning. An alderman gave a prepared speech that a gun shop would ruin the tourist town's quiet way of life and bring in dangerous guns and crime. They are all, apparently, not aware that Arkansas is a constitutional carry state and that guns do exist in their town. In the end, the city council told Grubb that they weren't going to approve his application because people could drive 12 miles to the nearest gun shop in another town and simply shop there, rather than sully their own town with his business. This is technically illegal. He chose to again challenge that ruling by taking the city to court. His complaint claimed that he was being denied his rights based on opposition from city council members and that it wasn't legal grounds to deny him his business, especially a business centered on a constitutional right. His lawyer also said that emotions around guns are not a valid argument. The judge, however, didn't agree. He said, "This court cannot find that the vote of the planning and zoning and the city council was an absolute abuse, and therefore dismiss the case." He told Grubb the solution is to reapply for the permit and try again, despite the board and council making it clear that this is not about Grubb and his application, but guns in general. And despite the fact that 3 of the 6 city council members testified to the judge that they did not want a gun shop in town and so would not approve one. He plans to appeal the decision, as the state's preemption law says, "A local unit of government shall not enact any ordinance or regulation pertaining to or regulate in any other manner the ownership, transfer, transportation, carrying, or possession of firearms, ammunition for firearms, or components of firearms, except as otherwise provided in state or federal law." The only carve-out is as follows: "This shall not prevent the enactment of an ordinance regulating or forbidding the unsafe discharge of a firearm." Nothing about gun shops. As he waits for the legal appeal to move up the chain, Grubb has, for now, opened another store just outside city limits, though with very limited hours. I am frankly very shocked that the judge ruled in favor of the town to dismiss the case, but I will be following this. I'll be following whatever happens upon appeal and see however far this thing goes. I'm also very surprised that it even got this far, as the case that we talked about in California didn't even get this far. In the meantime, please like, share, and subscribe if you are new here. Ring that notification bell. Drop a comment down below for the algorithm. Every comment counts, and I do sit there and read a lot of them. And as always, guys, thank you for tuning in, and happy shooting.